So we've defined the team, the stages and milestones, and with those two pieces in place, now we can get to task groups. Task groups is one of the more powerful features that are enabled inside the project management framework. So for task groups, we have defined a handful of them so far. In my case here, I have a task group for setting up Go High Level, one for pre-onboarding a subcontractor, a test one, and then a series of tasks for testimonials. In your case, you can have whatever groups that you want. You're probably going to have some similar ones. You'll have one for onboarding. You'll have one for various sign-offs and stages. Once you have a task group defined, you have the ability to add default tasks to it. So for example, let's go into Go High Level Setup. So inside of the task group for Go High Level Setup, I only have 3 defined so far. The first one is we need to set up the missed call SMS reply, which basically means as soon as somebody calls your telephone number, if you don't answer, then it will automatically send an SMS reply to that person. Hey, sorry, I missed your call. How can I be of service? We also know that we need to put a lead connector plugin on the WordPress site and possibly setting up sub accounts. These particular tasks are completely arbitrary for almost all of your businesses. The relevant part is that I know for every customer where I'm going to be setting up their Go High Level account, these are 3 things I'm going to need to do right away. So just by loading the GHL setup group, all 3 of these tasks will automatically be assigned to that particular project. And you can pull in groups of tasks at will for any or all of your projects. So there's a couple other things to point out while we are looking at a particular task group. Since this is already filtered, all of these tasks are already in that task group, but the other properties indicate to what team will this task be assigned when it is pulled into the project, and also what stage of the project will this task be under. You remember earlier that we defined our staff and our teams. So, for example, we said that one of our teams was operation, and Melissa, you were the person who is in the operations team. What that means is that when this task group has its tasks copied over to the project, this task will be assigned to whoever's in operations. And also, if you have larger or multiple teams, for each project, you can specify who takes the lead for that particular team. So it may be, for example, that you are in charge of operations for one project and Sarah is in charge of operations for a different project. So when these tasks are copied to your project, operations will go to you, but when these tasks would be copied to Sarah's project, with Sarah in operations, the tasks would be assigned to Sarah. Next, regarding the stage that these tasks go to, remember that the start dates are arbitrary when we are setting up our task groups. So when this is copied to a project, whenever stage 2 begins, that's the date that this particular task will be due. Lastly, 2 other properties on the right, share with client and share with project. In a separate video, we'll go over the client portal and the project portal, which make information available to external users. Inside of a task group, you can declare whether you want a particular task to be shared on the client portal and or on the project portal. Now, although all of these values can be overwritten once they are copied to the project, the principal purpose of the task groups is to facilitate your regular recurring processes. To the extent that you have routine processes, then the PMFN will streamline and reduce the manual steps that you need to take and follow that process. You can define as many different groups of tasks as are relevant for you and suck them in if and when they are needed for your individual projects. Go ahead.
When you said, you can pull in groups at any time, group tasks. When you pull those in, can you edit them Or are
Yes.
they synced across anywhere that appears?
Yes, you can edit them. So let's actually go to the project that we created for you earlier. So your project is here, set up basic biz systems. And now it tells us to go ahead and select a task group to import the tasks. And I can say, what do I want to load? Let's load the tasks from the Go High Level setup. It's going to take about 2 minutes for this to kick off, and it tells us the loading status is standing by. As soon as the automation kicks off, I'm expecting this to change. Oh, there it goes. So now it recognizes that it is processing. The tasks that I was wondering, why didn't they show up? They just took a while to show up. They're here now.
Nice.
And I didn't actually have to do anything to Thunk. I just needed to wait for the automation to complete. So far, we've been looking at task groups from a relatively simple standpoint. At this point, I want to expand this view to see what it looks like with a more complex environment. In this case, this is a film production company, and they have 17 teams defined, and their production process goes through 11 distinct stages. In their primary task list, they've defined 29 tasks, and in order to make managing this number of tasks a bit easier, there's different views defined up top. So, for example, they can look at all of the tasks that are defined based on the team that is responsible for them, or based on the stage that the task is relevant, or they can look at it on a matrix view for large-scale planning of the tasks and their process. So in this view, all of their teams are down the side and the stages for their process are across the top, and they can see across this matrix who is responsible for doing which piece at what stage of their process. The particulars of these stages and teams for this client aren't really relevant. What matters is that the PMFN has facilities to help you map out considerable number of tasks across different teams, across different milestones, so that regardless of how complex your internal process is, we can document it, we can map it out, and then from there we can ensure that the right people are doing the right tasks at the right time.